Monique Alcala, Executive Director for the Texas Democratic Party. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, what are your goals for the Texas Democratic Party in the next year?
Yeah, for the next year, I'm really excited that we're building a coalition that is incredibly diverse and that we're all rallying together enthusiastically in order to elect Colin Allred as our next U.S. Senate senator, and then also Democrats down ballot. We're really focused on ensuring that we have the infrastructure at TDP in order to support all of the volunteers and all of the state party leaders that we have across the ground, all across the Lone Star State.
And what are your biggest challenges and how will you fix them?
Um, our biggest challenge is one of my favorite challenges because it's really important to our Texas identity, and that's that we're just geographically huge. And the way that we're addressing that is that we're ensuring that we're recruiting county party chairs all across the state. We're about 90% there, and we're working on ensuring that we have vacancies filled throughout the state.
I want to ask you, you said one of your priorities is getting Colin Allred elected to the U.S. Senate.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering, given the fact that President Biden is unpopular in Texas, he's underwater as far as his job approval, he is trailing former President Donald Trump in the polls, and then you also have the independent presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And so I'm wondering, what impact doesn't that make your job of getting Allred elected much harder?
I don't think so. Whether we want to admit it or not, the president of the United States has had over 40 months of job growth. He's also given Texans more than $120 billion to rebuild our roads, our bridges, our airports, all of our infrastructure, including broadband. He's forgiven billions of dollars in student debt, and he's worked to increase inflation, all while acting as one of the most progressive presidents of our time. So I do not think that it's going to be an issue.
But given that, when you look at the polls in the sense of, the first priority for people is inflation. They're very unhappy with inflation. The
Mhm.
border security, immigration is the other top issue, and they don't give the president high marks on that. Why do
Mhm.
you think that is? What's the problem? If what you say is true, why aren't people feeling it?
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that's going to be really important in to address the issues that people are facing is to build out our footprint all across the state. I do think that it's important for us to recruit the county chairs, and we were very successful in recruiting candidates all across all up and down the ballot. And the reason why people are feeling that way is because I think that we just need to do a better job of meeting people where they are and talking about the issues that we care about as a party. We need people on the ground that are from the communities that are talking to voters, and we need candidates. We needed to recruit candidates up and down the ballot to ensure that they were talking to voters up until election day.
You just had your convention in El Paso. What were the main takeaways, do you think, from the convention?
Yeah, what some of the things that I know that people were really worried about was just that El Paso is, we have a really big, expansive state, and El Paso is eight hours away from just Austin. It's like 12 hours from other people, and just sort of getting there I think people thought was going to be a logistical challenge. We had thousands of Democrats that were there that were overly enthusiastic to be there. We ran out of space in some places, and we just had a lot of folks that we're connecting and I know that we're really excited to both meet Colin and all of the candidates that we have running up and down the ticket, and just wanting to pitch in. And we're building something I think that's really great that hasn't been done before, I don't think, in a long time. And we know that the issues that we are campaigning on, that including public access, I'm sorry, public education, ensuring that vouchers don't get through so that we have fully funded schools, and then also access to reproductive care are top of mind for folks.
And so, what is your messaging around those priorities?
Yeah, we want to ensure that our public schools are funded. We believe that public education is the key to access to opportunity here in Texas and also across the country. And then also with reproductive access, we're seeing how this is affecting women all across Texas and across the country. Women are dying, and we want to ensure that people have access to reproductive care and have the right to decide for themselves, them and their families, when they want to start a family.
And given the fact that the Supreme Court had a unanimous decision basically preserving the access to the abortion drug mifepristone, does that help?
Yeah, because we're seeing even from the Supreme Court that Ted Cruz and all of these other extremist Republicans are just on the wrong side of the issue. We know that it is a safe medication, and that all Texans and all Americans who want to have access to this medication should have the right.
I want to ask you about a moment in your convention that came under criticism by Republicans, heavy criticism, as I'm sure you're aware. Um, the person in drag who was speaking at the convention, the Republicans really blasted that and
Mhm.
criticized the party. How do you react to that?
You know, we're a big tent party. We had a sheriff that was on our stage. We have gun rights advocates. We have families that have been affected by gun violence that we're speaking on stage. We have somebody that Bridget Bandit has been advocating for freedom of speech and freedom of expression all throughout her career, and I think that that's a really important narrative to that we needed to uplift at the state convention.
Republicans tried to portray your party as extreme, given the fact that that person was up on stage speaking.
Yeah, I think that's silly. I mean, we've seen time and time again when we're talking about issues around human rights and people needing to be seen, that Republicans respond in pretty outlandish and silly ways.
The governor, as you know, after the primary runoff, said he has enough votes in the Texas House in the next legislative session that starts in January to pass school choice or taxpayer-funded education savings accounts.
Mhm.
What are you doing about that? Are you going to try to block it? And if so, how?
I think that the governor should really take into consideration that Texans, including Republicans, as he saw at the last special session, that Texans overwhelmingly reject public school vouchers, private school vouchers, and we're going to do everything that we can in order to ensure that our Democratic caucus is aligned. I mean, we showed that last time around. And we're going to elect more people at the state legislature to ensure that we hold them accountable.
What seats do you think are vulnerable for Republicans that you guys are going to be going after?
Yeah, we have some really incredible young candidates that are running, particularly in Bear County. We have Christian Carranza, who's running in House District 118. She's an incredible candidate that's really energized, has been running an incredible campaign. And we know that she cares a lot about schools because where she went to high school at Harlandale, that's one of the schools that we know has been deeply affected by cuts to education funding. And we also have Avery Bishop that is running in DFW in house against Angie Toon Button in House District 112. They're both running on a platform to fully fund our public education system. And we know that these are districts that are certainly winnable for us this year.
So those two seats specifically.
Those are incredible seats. We also have House District 37 out in the Valley. That's a really important seat for us for this year as well.
What about Morgan Meyer's seat up in Dallas as well?
Oh yeah, that's another one. We have, I mean, these really great metroplexes in Bear County and DFW. Like these are the last two remaining Republican seats, the 108 and then 112 too. So we're really looking to flip that one as well.
And Republicans tell me they're going to be going after State House District 70 seat up in Collin County, where Mihaela Plisa is. What are you going to be doing to help her?
So we are building an operation that is ensuring that we have people on the ground. We will, and that we're supporting her campaign in a way that that ensures that she is uplifting, the way that or uplifting her stances on things like education and abortion. I know that she was very vocal on her experience with IVF when Republicans were attacking that. So, and we believe that it's a very important story for us to get out.
What do you make of the Republicans who want to close their primary?
Um, I think Republicans are making um they're making statements around special elections that I think aren't necessarily I feel as though they're
Is that something that you've talked about as a party, though? Because here the Republicans are this is a priority now of theirs that came out of their convention. They want to close the primary so that only Republicans can vote in a Republican primary. And so I'm wondering, I mean, is that something that your party is actively looking at as well?
No, so we believe that people should be able to vote for whoever they, believe, is in alignment with their values. I don't, I don't necessarily believe a lot of the Republican clamor around Democrats voting in their primaries. This seems to be just another Republican talking point in order to ensure, like, just cut people out of their ability to vote for who they believe should represent them.
So your party has no plans to close its primary.
No.
And one other question I had with regards to the Texas House, as you know, Republicans are really focused on making sure only Republicans can be committee chairs in the Texas House. What's your thought on that, and what can you do, if anything, to stop it?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Yeah, as you know, the Republicans have really, they've really been focused on this cycle, which is having only Republicans be committee chairs in the Texas House,
Mhm.
Democrats, which there are now. And I'm wondering, what do you think about this? And have you as a party tried to figure out how to stop that?
Yeah, I think Republicans are really interested in that so that they could just be what they believe would be better positioned to pass more of their extremist policies that don't align with what Texans want. I just don't think that that is the best thing for Texans all across the state. We know that when we are legislating, we need to ensure that we are doing things in a bipartisan way.
Does the party have an official stance on whether Dave Phelan should be speaker again?
No,
Monique Alcala, thank you so much. Texas Democratic Party Executive Director. We appreciate it.
thank you.